Thank you, John and Julia. That was really a lovely way to begin. And thank you for those of you who are here, filling this cathedral. I have a robust imagination. I'm your optimistic host, Rob Peck, and I really do want to just say how happy I am that you're here with us today. And part of our tradition is to reach out and kind of extend a welcome in the four directions: the person next to you, the person in front of you, the person behind you. So take a moment just to make a little connection with the people who are near you, a wave, a squeeze on the shoulder, some way in which we just recognize that here we are in this rare moment of a Sunday morning, getting a chance to all share something special together. I'm guessing, hoping, that you all have an order of worship. If you don't, there's some at the back. There's basically a way in which you can follow along. We'll probably kind of make that pretty clear, but just in case, it's helpful to have a little roadmap. But most importantly, there's an insert with some lyrics to some truly wonderful lyrics. And different times in the service, instead of a traditional hymn, these will be our hymns today that we sing. And feel welcome when you sing to stand. And if you don't feel like standing, that's okay. Sit. At the end of our service, thanks to several really thoughtful members of our congregation, there's almost always some good beverages, some apple cider, some hot beverages, and a couple of little snacks. But it's also a time for a little fellowship, and it can be a nice moment to just share your thoughts and connect around what you just experienced. In any event, it's one more moment of community. And it's also, if you are intrigued about Unitarian Universalism, a chance to speak to any of us who serve the church on the board or any other committee. If you are on the board or any other committee, would you raise your hand so people can see you're somebody who, if they wanted to, they could touch base with? Whoever gets the most people talking to them wins a special prize. And for those of you who may not want to talk to somebody but just read, there are pamphlets in the foyer that would also give you a little more information about UU. And last, if you would like to be kind of connected with us and sign our guest book, it makes us feel good to look at the guest book and see the people who've graced this beautiful structure. So now the official welcome is over, and there's a chance to do a practice that we fairly regularly do, and it never loses its luster. It's that moment to just sit and not have to think or do anything but be present. And to be present in a way that we get to really hear the music that John and Julia have worked so hard to prepare for today's service. It's a moment to just be present, be focused, and maybe above everything else, to be at peace. In the words of Reverend Kathleen McTeague, we come together to remind one another to rest for a moment on the forming edge of our lives, to resist that headlong tumble into the next moment and the next moment and the to-do list, until we claim for ourselves a gentle awareness and a deep gratitude. Taking time to feel and see connection and communion in this house of laughter and silence, memory and hope, hallowed this morning by our presence together. So take a moment as we listen in silence to the prelude. Thank you, John and Julia. That was an absolute joy. Tess? Can you hear me with this, Matt? Okay. So we're going to light the chalice, and I want to say that I'm so grateful that you're here today. John has been a dear friend of mine for decades, and it seems so fitting that in lighting the chalice, I get to yet again remind you what a bright light you are in my life. One candle is a small thing. As against the dark, it flickers. Use the light. This, there you go. Thank you. Plenty of mistakes that have to happen to make something like this happen. Are we up now? A dear friend now. Not perfect. Let's see.
How about now? Now we can turn it down. Down, yeah, there you go. Even a little more down. Can you hear me now? One candle is a small thing, as against the dark it flickers. One candle is a small thing, standing still and alone. But watch. See how its light grows when it kindles another, when its flame it sows. One candle is a small thing, as against the dark it flickers. One candle is a small thing, standing still and alone. But watch, see how its light grows when it kindles another, when its flame it sows. And watch, see how out of the night one candle can weave a tapestry, can weave a tapestry of light.
So a similarly sacred part of our ceremony is that we light a candle symbolically, and we also sort of bring illumination to our values. And a lot of us worked, it was quite an act of creative collaboration to put together a church covenant. You'll find it in your order of service. And I'd like to read it responsively, so we'll try our best to all stay together. I'll kind of model the pace. And I invite you to just really take note of some sections that speak to you. Maybe even some words that today in particular you find timely. In this house, we covenant with one another. And join me on the rest of it. To create a community built on a foundation of love, to work together to promote equality, justice, and peace, accepting responsibility for our individual acts. to stand on the side of love, embracing the liberation of the oppressed and working to end discrimination and unjust privilege, to communicate with kindness and support, and to serve with compassion and commitment, to listen respectfully and value our diversity as a source of our collective strength, to learn and grow together, generously sharing our time, talents, and treasures, to celebrate the joys of discovery, from the wonder of youth to the wisdom of age, and to openly share our laughter and our tears, showing reverence for the divine in all that is. It couldn't be more fitting to follow our covenant with some of the most beautiful lyrics I've ever heard from a little known but totally beloved folk singer named Bob Franke. You'll find the lyrics to the aptly titled tune Thanksgiving Eve in your order of service.
Let's start with the chorus. What can we do with our days but work and hope? Let our dreams bind our work to our play. What can we do with each moment of our lives but love till we've loved it away? Love till we've loved it away. It's so easy. It's so easy to dream of the days gone by. So hard to think of the times to come, and the grace to accept every moment as a gift is a gift that is given to some. What can we do with our days but hope and pray? Let your dreams bind our work to our play. What can we do with each moment of our life but love till we've loved it away? Love till we've loved it away. And there are sorrows enough for the whole world's end. There are no guarantees but the grave, but the lives that we've lived and the time that we spent are a treasure too precious to say. What can we do? What can we do with our lives but work and hope? Let our dreams bind our work to our play. What can we do with each moment of our life but love till we've loved it away? Love till we've loved it away. Love till we've loved it away.
So with that as a perfect prologue, I'd like to invite my dear friend to share some of his reflections. Please welcome John Porcino.
So Matt, I'll just turn this off and I'll have this. I just want to say that before words, I'd like to take a minute of silence to remember, to invite into this space and into our hearts something of the challenges and even the heart-wrenching difficulties that we face, both personally and collectively, in these times we're living in. For me, at times the events in the world and in so many of the lives around me have weighed heavy on my spirit. I bet that's so for you too. These words excerpted from Hopi Elder White Eagle have helped me with that weight. So I'll just read them to you. This moment that humanity is living through can be considered a portal or a hole. If you take the opportunity to look at yourself, to rethink life and death, to take care of yourself and others, you will go through the door, the portal. Take care of your home. Take care of your body. Connect with your spiritual home. Adopt the perspective of an eagle that sees everything from above with a broader vision. Many of us, we have been and continue to be obliterated. But still, we never stopped singing, dancing, lighting fires, having joy. You have the right to be strong and positive, to maintain a beautiful, cheerful, bright presence. This has nothing to do with ignorance of the world. It is a strategy of resistance. Resilience through art, joy, trust, love. These words I love. They became part of what I named this time. Make a habit of encountering the sacred in every day. The cello is next. A moment to mourn. Whoops, did I turn that on? Just a moment to mourn. Can you hear me? Yes. This piece written by Eric Satie, he says to the musicians, with deep mourning. Thank you, David.
So while they're playing the settee piece, it's a chance for us to experience one of the most beautiful things about being a human being, and that's to feel and to show generosity for something we believe in that's bigger than ourselves.
In your heart.
The building's a lot bigger than me, but I believe in it.
In our heart.
And it's felt good to be able to contribute in various ways, and even in the most simple way, to make a contribution as David and Russ walk up the aisle. We would gratefully accept it. So please see if you can do both being generous and giving generous attention to John and Julia as they perform this piece. Thank you to those of you who contributed, and thank you who are just here and contributing by your presence. I want to briefly preface John's sermon with a couple of lyrics from the very same author of Thanksgiving Eve, Bob Franke. It's a really poignant song called Hard Love. It's especially impacted me recently, but I think it's probably pretty universal. Here's just a couple of the verses. I recall the gentle courtesy you gave me as I tried to dissemble in politeness all that love I felt inside. And for every song of laughter was another song that cried, "This ain't no easy weekend. This is hard love." So I'll tell you that I love you, even though I'm far away. And I'll tell you how you helped me to accept myself. And I won't forget to say, love is never wasted, even when it's hard love. Yes, it's hard love, but it's love all the same. Not the stuff of fantasy, and more than just a game. And the only kind of miracle that's worthy of the name. For the love that heals our lives is mostly hard love.
Thanks. Giving thanks in hard times. Encountering the sacred in every day. I've wondered, what does it mean to encounter the sacred in every day? And honestly, I don't have real answers. I know only that to be here with you for a time, on this day, in this, look at this beautiful building, to explore with you, really with you, what those words of resilience, resistance, and thanksgiving, what they mean, that to me is an honor. Here are some of my guesses. Encountering the sacred in every day is to change the words "I have to" "I get to." Encountering the sacred every day is to hold a sense of gratitude for the smallest things, like this glass that held my water. This glass in my hand, right? Its transparency was an innovation first discovered on a tiny island off the shores of Venice in the 1400s. And now we take it for granted almost every time we lift it. Encountering the sacred in every day is something of presence in the moment. When I was around 20, my family friend, Matty Melillo, was at a gathering we had. And the words he spoke to me have lived with me since then. He said, there are magic moments in life. You can't create them, damn it all, right? He said, all you can do is create the conditions by which they might happen. And then be present to let the gift of the moment in. Encountering the sacred in every day is something of laughter and play. You can count on Winnie the Pooh to say all of this in the cutest, sweetest, funniest way, really. But Winnie the Pooh was visiting Piglet. Can you picture Winnie the Pooh and Piglet? And Winnie the Pooh said to Piglet, "Piglet, what day is it?" And Piglet smiled and said, "Why, Pooh, it's today." And Pooh said, "Today? Oh, Piglet, that's my favorite one." Encountering the sacred in every day. Rob and I had the pleasure to be in a writers group. And a few weeks ago, as this new war in the world was beginning. The prompt was snow. There were 7 of us in the room, and 6 of us could do nothing but write our hopes and our sadness into our writing. I'll share with you some of this I wrote then, some of this I've written since. On a dark, cold night, the first snow falls gently, covering every branch, every twig, every standing blade of grass with white, each sparkling on a shaft of moonlight. Do you see it? Stepping through the door, home after a long, exhausting day. A homemade apple pie bakes in the oven, filling the house with, well, with love, really. Can you smell it? There, in the straggly grass that pushes through the cracked cement of a fallen home, a cricket sings a new song. Do you hear it? At the end of a soaring waltz, we dip down together in pure extract of loveliness. Can you feel it? One day, having had enough, a man sets off in the world, searching, praying that he might one day find the one thing that is true, pure beauty. After a long, sometimes perilous, sometimes lovely journey, he arrives home again, just as the sun is setting. He sees a warm, glowing light through the window, and there, sitting around the sturdy wooden table he knows so well, his family sits, baking bread together, as they always have. He is glad, so very glad to be home. At last, he has found what he is looking for. Imagine it. One day, her hands open the top of the long dormant piano that sits in the corner of the room. She plays for the first time since she was a young child. Every lonely day of the long pandemic winter, those black and white keys call to her till she is learning the tender, heart-wrenching, stunningly beautiful harmonies of the Nociens by French composer Erik Satie. It is for her, she says, like going to church. When I was growing up, I struggled with school, often feeling a little dumb. The cello that you've seen me playing was the thing I could point to and say, ah, but I can play the cello. In high school, I was selected to be part of the all-state orchestra in New York. Soon after, I was studying the cello in college. But in this classical music world, there was such a perfection ethic that somehow it got twisted inside me to the point that what I was most afraid of was making a mistake. For heaven's sake, playing the cello, can I show you? Playing the cello is an amazing thing. It doesn't have frets like this guitar where you could put your finger anywhere here. It has strings without frets. And if you're here and you have to get here, but you land here, it sounds awful. It sounds out of tune. Has anyone caught me making a mistake today? Somebody. That's what I call them, mistakes. So my cello sat in this blue case in the corner of my den, only to come out once or twice a year. This thing that I did, the best maybe of all things that I do in the whole world. Then a few years ago, this sweet woman arrived in my life. She went to church as she played the piano, and soon we were playing together. Nothing complicated, just sweet cello and piano repertoire. Then there came a moment of grace in the journey, an encounter with the sacred in every day. I realized I could play the heart, play the cello with as much heart as I could muster. When the mistake came, as most certainly it could, my challenge was to say to myself, ta-da! Look at you. You are trying with everything you have. And then go on to play the next note as beautifully as I could. All we can really do in life is play the music with as much gusto as we can. And when we fail, stay proud that we were trying. Then live the next moment with as much grace, love, laughter, joy, and yes, as much gratitude as we can. So you have this little sheet of paper with song lyrics. You have a pen. On the back of the paper, there's nothing yet. There are hymnals that you can use. Julie and I are going to play one of the most beloved songs in the cello repertoire, cello and piano repertoire, The Swan. And as we do, I would invite you to ask yourself, what encounters have you had with the sacred in your life? Or what encounters do you want to have with the sacred? I shared some of mine. And When we're done, I'll invite people to stand up one at a time and with great pride and gusto, speak out one. We won't have time for all, and everyone does not have to speak. But this moment when we're playing is a time to reflect on the sacred that you have in your life. Start at D. A mistake, a glorious mistake. Ta-da. And so a closing hymn. Oh, okay. Oh, there's something before that.
Another mistake.
Another.
We're famous for our mistakes. I always love this dance instructor who said to those of us who are fumbling through this thing that, listen, if you land on the wrong foot, you're just one step away from being on the right one. So this is the time in our service where we have a chance to experience love and support by sharing aloud, if we choose, something that's either hard in our lives or happy in our lives, but something which we want to experience the kind of feeling of community and letting it be something that we say amongst each other. And it's important, if I could find the right place, So two things. Rocky, will you do your microphone thing? So Rocky will bring a microphone to you if you would like to share. Just simply raise your hand. Just to make note, it's a personal sharing, not something that's a professional announcement or a political statement. And one of the ways that we show our caring for each other is by trying to be concise and stay true to the purpose of this time. And so I'll ask people to do their best to make it a brief sharing. And there'll be opportunities afterwards if you want to go into it in a little more detail during our coffee hour. And lastly, it always gives us a good feeling if people have chosen to be guests. Do we have any visitors here today? And if so, would you be willing to raise your hand or stand so that we can welcome you? Anyone new to All Souls for today? All right, well, good to be surrounded by so many veterans. That's true, Julia. Welcome, Julia. So, if you have a joy or a sorrow that you would like to share with us, simply raise your hand and Rocky will come around with the microphone.
Good morning, I'm Sandra. First, I want to just share my reflection during the music.
Forgot to do that. I'll come back to it.
Give us a chance to, so I hope other people will share too. But
Yes.
what I became aware of is how much music empties my mind, and that I'm in a sacred space of stillness and beauty, and it fills me with a sense of love. And I just want to give thanks not only for your music, but also for that experience of the emptiness and the sacredness of that emptiness. And this is not a political announcement. This is a personal joy that I heard on the radio this morning. The state of California has now begun to teach nonviolence in all its classes. And I just give thanks for the consciousness behind that and the difference that that could make if it spreads.
Hi, I'm Tina, and I need a candle lit for me in celebration that I did not stop on my way here to the neighbor's tag sale, which I considered replacing my church time with browsing through other people's unwanted items that I need to just think about and wonder whose they were and where they were and who loved them and why are they getting rid of them and I need to save them. And thankfully I said no and came here and heard three of the most gut-wrenching pieces that affect me, and now I'm thinking that my guitar is sitting in the corner waiting for me.
I'm Emma, and I wanted to share that my thoughts of the sacred were that I have so many opportunities to experience love and friendship with my family and friends, especially my hiking friends and people who live nearby, who go out into nature, which is a sacred place that we are so lucky to have surrounding us in the hills and valleys and along the lakes and streams that are so beautiful in this area.
I want to say that the music is a very important thing, because I think it tells the entire story of our life.
Hi, I'm Jim, and I just wanted to read what I wrote, and I appreciate John asking us to write this. An encounter with the sacred that I had. I was hiking on the Appalachian Trail in the spring of 1978 along the North Carolina-Tennessee border on a beautiful ridge with fields of wildflowers in full bloom. And the world stopped, and I felt one with myself in creation for the first time.
Hello, my name is Edith, and I thank you also for that opportunity to respond to what is sacred. What I wrote down is here today, like Winnie the Pooh, today here has been supremely sacred to me. And I would love a candle lit for my family, which is going through a lot of sorrow and challenge right now. I've spent this whole time here weeping, which has been a blessing for me. Another encounter with sacred, the release of tears, which immediately drops your cortisol levels. Wow. So, and I haven't been able to do that for 4 years. So now I'm weeping unabashedly, which I'm so grateful for. Thank you for being here and welcoming me.
I think it was because I spent time in prison for peace action, and I feel like I saw this, but I think I just heard this on the radio, and it touched me so deeply quite a few years ago about a cellist waiting to go in to play to a group of prisoners, and he had to follow some sexy woman who was entertaining them with lots of laughter, and when he went in and played the swan, he had not only me weeping, but all the prisoners as they thought of their mothers. So I just thought, wow, that's a really sacred gift. Okay. So thank you for the music today, especially the cello and everything you've played on that.
Looks like we might have a couple people on Zoom who might like to contribute.
All right, this morning we are joined by Gary, Christine, Christy, Ellen Blanchett, Jay Lincolnhurst, Molly Chambers, and Robin. And Jay Lincolnhurst would like to share, I am grateful for the words of wisdom and passion expressed by today's speaker. Thank you. Christine would also like to share a joy. Thank you, John. I will be sharing this all around. Light a candle for this very thought. Be joyful as a strategy of resistance. Be joyful. Do it. Love you all. And Gary Pausner would like to share. Wish we could have been there in person, and we are on our way to pick up my son and his family at the airport so we can all be together for the first time in probably 2 years. And Robin shares, I experienced the sacred by allowing beauty, wisdom, reverence, compassion, love, playfulness, and creativity to flow through me.
So I want to light 2 candles of joyful thanks. There's that famous phrase that it takes a village to raise a child. Apparently it takes a congregation to host a service, because if not for Sandra helping me realize that the candles usually are a pretty good thing to have lit during a service, and David reminding me that while they're playing the Eric Satie piece is kind of the time that you want to do the offertory. So my point is that it may look sometimes like one person is standing in front and doing it, but it's a team effort. And speaking of teamwork, I am just so doubly delighted that this has been such a meaningful service for so many from your responses. But I'll also let you in on the fact that I'm pretty sure that this is John and Julia's world premiere as a performance duo in public. I don't believe, if I'm correct, that they've ever performed in public together before, so I think your career is off to a promising start.
It's funny, you do a service like this and you do it once, right? You don't get to practice, you don't get to smooth out the mistakes. They just come and you can welcome them and let them go. I had really intended to give an opportunity for people to stand up and share their everyday sacred moments. And it sort of got woven into the candle lighting, joys and sorrows. But before I sing this closing hymn, or we sing this closing hymn, is really what I want us to do. Was there anyone who had something that they wanted to share that they didn't get a chance to, the sacred of their life? Whoops. So I think this is the ultimate song of resistance. Enjoy. And the words are in your order of service. I can only picture Louis Armstrong singing this. I see trees of green, red roses too. I see them bloom for me and for you. And I think to myself, if you want to add a little of that grumble down there, you can. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. I see skies of blue, clouds of white, the bright blessed day and the dark sacred night. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. The colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky, and also on the faces of the people going by. I hear friends and relations saying, how do you do? They're really saying, I love you. I hear babies cry. I watch them grow. And they learn much more than I'll ever know. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Yes, I think to myself, what a wonderful world. One more time. Yes, I do. Yes, I think to myself, what a wonderful world. I got it. So, the benediction, the last words to leave you with. We struggled finding these words, but this quote from Rumi and a second from Edward Abbey, I think leave my heart where I hope it will be many a time.
On a day when the wind is perfect, the sail just needs to open, and the world is full of beauty. Today is such a day.
May your trails be crooked,
Winding,
lonesome,
dangerous,
leading to the most amazing view. So one last soaring waltz to send you off with. It was an honor to share the morning with you. With great beauty.
Break in just a minute to basically have a little time to enjoy some snacks and a little bit of a chance to have some fellowship. But it is important sometimes to share an announcement if it's something that could serve the congregation, if it's something you feel strongly that would be helpful for people to hear about and know about. This would be a great time to do that. Matt could probably help me make this microphone work to go out into the audience, and I'll start with you, Kate.
I'm Kate Mason, and I just really want to thank John and Julia for a beautiful service.
Thank you.
So next week we have Steve Wilson, our UU minister, who comes the fourth Sunday of every month, and Annie Hassett will be sharing her music with us. And then I want to say on the first Sunday of the month we have always a social justice service, and Trenda Lofton is going to be here, and she's going to talk about her work in Greenfield. And the choir will be there, and that's like show up at 9 o'clock, and you too can be in the choir. And we're going to have a fellowship lunch following that. And the membership committee will bring food, and so plan to stay after for that.
What a church. Fun, fellowship, food. You name it. We got it. Here, Sandra.
Maybe she'll join us for lunch.
I just don't know if everybody here knows that today is the day that Pam Kelly's partner, Lauren, is leaving Greenfield to move to Georgia and stay with his 3 grown children and many grandchildren, and it's an amiable decision that we all want to support for their well-being. So.
Did you have something, Russ?
Yeah. Hi, my name's Russ. I do some different volunteering things around here. This feels a little awkward. In front of the church, we have these panels out there for putting up some signs. And one of the panels is, we have these, I don't know how long we've had these. I've been coming to this church for 25 years. We have these 40 sheets that we keep upstairs of these big quotes or proverbs. And on occasion, I change one out there. And because of what's been happening in the world, and I don't expect everybody to see this, I felt the need to change the one that we had that had been up there for several months, which was an environmental message. And I went through all the sheets that we have upstairs, and just in case, people don't get a chance to see it, what the message says now, and this is for anybody who walks by the building. War does not determine who is right, only who is left. And on the sheet it says that's anonymous. Thank you.
Thank you, Russ. You make me think war does not determine who is right. It just decides that everybody gets wronged. On a lighter note, Tina, you'll be glad to know afterwards we're going to have a tag sale right here. No, I'm teasing. Yeah, there is tomorrow night our board meeting, and there's only a few of us who are trying hard to think about the best interests and the big picture, and it can be really helpful to have someone with an outside eye sit in on the meeting, maybe offer some feedback, perhaps a suggestion. So it takes place over Zoom at 7:30 tomorrow night. And if that's anything that you would like to just explore, it would be a sacred delight to see your face on the Zoom screen.
How do people get the Zoom link?
They'll speak to me or David or Kate, or that's probably the three of us who would be able to help you with that. Thank you, Russ. All right, let's eat. Thank you all again for coming.
Put this on.